People usually pray for wealth, love, or success. We picture bright temples and comforting energy. But there is a hidden world. There are deities people are genuinely terrified to even talk about. For thousands of years, Bharat has guarded the story of one such goddess. She doesn't exist in light. She rules the cremation grounds. She walks among spirits, corpses, and death itself. Her followers aren't ordinary people. They are tantric, outcast, seekers hunting for raw power and absolute truth far outside our civilized society. Humanity's oldest fear is death. We are terrified of decay, the dark, and what happens after the body turns to ash. Almost every civilization tries to hide death behind rules and rituals. This goddess doesn't hide from the dark. She lives in it. Her name is Maa Chamunda. A skeletal body, a chain of heads around her neck, a primal force tied directly to destruction and tantra sadhana. To most, she is a nightmare. To her devotees, she is mother. Then why we worship a force so terrifying? The oldest record of Maa Chamunda is in a Sanskrit text called Devi Mahatmyam or Durga Saptashati. It establishes Devi Shakti as the supreme power behind everything. She creates, preserves, and destroys. Chamunda was not born in peace. She emerged during a cosmic war that shattered the balance of the universe. Two demons, Shumbha and Nishumbha, had hijacked the heaven. They systematically crushed the gods Surya, Chandra, Agni, Vayu, Varuna, Kuvera, and the rest. The demon army was led by two unstoppable commanders, Chanda and Munda. The combined strength of the gods was completely useless against them. Defeated and desperate, Indra led the gods to Himalayas. They chanted the Aparajita Stuti, praying to the ultimate divine power for a way out. Goddess Durga appeared. But as the violence of the war escalated, her fury reached a breaking point. Then it happened. From the center of Maa Durga's forehead, something completely terrifying emerged. A skeletal frame, skin hanging off bones, a chain of heads around her neck. Her laughter was so horrific it made the battlefield shake and froze the demon army in its track. She attacked Chanda and Munda. The destruction was instant. She severed their heads and dropped them at Maa Durga's feet. At the exact moment, Durga gave her a new title, Chamunda, the destroyer of Chanda and Munda. Later, scripture often equate her directly with Maa Kali. It sounds like pure horror, but in Tantra sadhana, that violence is highly calculated. Chamunda does not kill just demons. She destroys human attachment. She consumes the ego and shatters every illusion. Chanda and Munda are not just mythological demons. They are a reflection of us. They represent the absolute darkest path of the human mind: cruelty, violence, greed, and the blind obsession with power. Over time, Chamunda became permanently tied to Tantra, cremation ground, and conquered the ultimate fear of death. We already know her form. She feels ancient, older than creation itself. But the horror isn't random. Every physical detail is highly calculated symbol. The exposed skeleton is a brutal reminder of our physical end. The severed heads represent the human ego and the endless trap of birth and death. The corpses beneath her feet symbolize blind ignorance. India is covered in mysterious Chamunda temples. The Chamunda Devi temple in Himachal Pradesh is one of the most famous. People go there to pray for protection from sickness, dark influences, and pure fear. But the real mysteries are hidden across Rajasthan, Karnataka, West Bengal, and Nepal. There are forgotten temples. Some are so old that no one actually knows who built them. The local folklore is intense. In certain regions, you are strictly warned to stay away after sunset. Visitors report a massive shift of atmosphere compared to standard temples. The light is dim, the air feels heavy. People describe a suffocating pressure the second they step inside. But you have to be objective. Not everything is supernatural. A lot of heavy atmosphere is just purely psychological projection. But the legends keep growing regardless. Now, we need to look at how she actually worshipped. Pop culture writes of Tantra as a cheap black magic. In reality, it is a brutal psychological discipline. Practitioners who are willing to push their mind to the absolute edge don't rely on safe, standard prayers. They turn to Chamunda. She belongs directly to the cremation ground. To be clear, Tantra has multiple paths. Many are designed for everyday householder. Not every sadhana is linked to this extreme. Because the cremation ground is where a king and a beggar burn in exact same fire. Watching a body burn to ash force you to face the brutal truth. Death makes us all equal. This is exactly where the Kapalikas and Aghoris operate. They know you can't reach the true spiritual awakening until you completely destroy every mental boundary society builds around you. Then there is a mechanics of Bij Mantra. A Bij Mantra isn't just an ordinary chant. It is a very short sound carrying immense power. Chanting it under strict protocol directly alters the practitioner's mental state and unlock siddhis or some spiritual capabilities. But you don't just pick a mantra out of the book. The exact sound has to be passed down directly from a real guru. You can't just guess it. Tantra is not a casual hobby. Anyone can pray to the deity with blind devotion. But tantric rituals are loaded weapon. The outcome, positive or negative, depends entirely on the intent of the user. This deep secrecy is exactly what makes her and Tantra so mysterious. And where there is a secret, there is paranoia. For centuries, the terror around the rituals has created wild rumors. Some are just myth, but some of it is absolutely real. If you think Tantra is just religious devotion, you are missing the point entirely. It is deeply hardwired into human psychology. Just think about it. How much do you actually know about your own mind? As humans, we naturally hide the ugly truth, the paralyzing fear of death, the isolation, the helplessness. Modern psychology calls it the shadow self. Tantra simply says that as long as you run from it, you are a slave. Society trains us to look away. Tantra forces you to look. As long as you believe your physical body and your ego are permanent, fear will always control you. If you suppress fear, it infects your subconscious. In Tantra, fear isn't a roadblock. It is a raw fuel for total mental transformation. This is where the Bij mantras come into play. When you lock into these precise acoustic formulas under extreme discipline, they directly hack your concentration and alter your state of consciousness. Then we hit the highly controversial side. Siddhis or supernatural powers. You don't just pray for this power. It can be unlocked through absolute mental dominance. Like some of us already know about, Vak Siddhi means your words literally wrap reality. Stambhana is the power to paralyze an incoming threat. Vashikaran is the ability to override another person's mind. There are dozens of other siddhis, but that is a topic for another video. Let's stay on the track. For centuries, Chamunda has been South Asia's most misunderstood goddess. But history tells a completely different story. If you look at the Shakti Pithas and ancient Tantric texts, she wasn't just a force of destruction. Kings prayed to her before marching into war. Royal bloodlines claimed her as their absolute protector and Kuldevi. Then the British arrived. In the 18th and 19th centuries, colonial writers and missionaries started to documenting Indian Tantra. They completely failed to grasp the psychological and philosophical depth behind it. They panicked. They give it labels like dark cults and demon worship. They mixed local paranoia with real incident and painted tantrics as dangerous black magic villains. She was turned into a cursed figure out of cheap horror fiction. The truth is much heavier. Tantra isn't evil. It is a system of meditation, acoustic frequency, and absolute mental focus. Calling every tantric a black magician is just intellectually lazy. Even now, millions across India see Chamunda as the ultimate mother. She destroys nightmares, psychological terror, and unseen threats. When massive epidemic hits, entire region perform extreme survival ritual to invoke her. And some of those rituals are still quietly happening today. 1,000 of years later, the mystery surrounding Maa Chamunda refuses to die. This is not a standard devotion. It is a deep dive into the obsession with raw power and the human urge to touch what's strictly forbidden. We use modern technology to control everything, but we still cannot control death. That is why Chamunda stands completely apart. She offers zero comfort. In the tantric world, fear is not a weakness, it is the final test. Believe the history or write it off as a myth, it doesn't matter. Maa Chamunda and the extreme path of Tantra remain the darkest and the hardest spiritual path a human can walk.